guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our Mouse Droid build. In this video what we're going to do is we're going to sand down the basic box that we've built. We're going to tidy it up, fill it, prime it and then paint it, and then we're going to give it that nice weathered look.
We hope you had a good Christmas, and we hope you enjoyed the very first video, which was the build of the Mouse Droid. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing over the next week while. We've been talking to a lot of people about things they want to see and things that we're doing for or they want us to do for them, sort of thing. T-shirts were an absolute accident, but it so happens that we're going to be doing something for a certain 8-foot furry friend of ours a bit later on, but we'll tell you that a little bit later in the episode. So what we'll do is we'll jump next door, we'll get into the workshop, and we'll get the second part of the build underway. So through in the workshop, Bob has joined us.
The dog.
He liked his wee moment.
Shop dog.
Yeah, totally. He liked his wee moment chasing his tail last episode, so here he is. Not chasing his tail, which is good because he's on my knee. Right, so we're through in the workshop and we're going to talk through some of the problems that you had with the antenna from the last build. You had to make a wee bit of an adjustment, What was happening with that?
Basically the sensor array that goes on the top of the Mouse Droid. I used biro pens to make the little stilts that they sit on, but some plastics don't stick as well to other plastic as others, and I had a bit of trouble with the super glue that I was using. It just wasn't holding.
Just not doing the
job.
So
yeah, no, I used a 2-part epoxy glue, which is a lot stronger. It takes a bit longer to dry, but it's pretty solid. One of them I actually had to make a little pilot hole in the array and then put a little pin inside, just to embed a pin. Glued it all. It's all solid now, so no worries of it falling off anymore.
Happy days.
Happy
awesome.
days.
So we've got the model built. Obviously we did that last episode, which you can see. There'll be a link in the description.
Yeah.
What's the next stages then? Where are we going now?
Okay, so at the moment it's very boxy, but if you look at the pictures online,
as Mouse Droids
tend to be, but if you look at the pictures online, it actually has a lot of curved edges.
Stop
licking skin. It has a lot of curved edges. The corners aren't sharp. The peaks aren't sharp. So I need to sand everything back, make it all nice and rounded. Foam core is a soft material, so normally I would use a hand sander when I'm sanding things, but it's so soft that if I use a hand sander it would just whip it away to nothing.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to use different grits of sandpaper, sanding sticks for the little nooks and crannies that I can't get into. Also with foam core, once you expose the actual foam underneath, it's very porous, so we need to use a filler to fill in any exposed areas.
So you need to kind of cover it, just protect it a little bit?
Yeah, and that'll come in handy when it comes time to paint it, because then there won't be any pores, so the paint won't sink into. And some spray paints as well actually melt certain foams.
Yes.
So we need to make sure it's sealed so that we don't get any issues with that. So.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to put Boba down and we're going to get cracking. We'll get started with getting things sanded back, and just remember, subscribe to the channel and check out the Facebook page, which is /The Right Side Show, and we'll be back soon. Do it!
Here is the first part of the build that we did last time. You'll notice how boxy it is. It's got really hard edges along the sides, along the peaks, and at the front and the back. So what I want to do is I want to sand these back, nice curved edges around the sides, make sure there's all the glue is sanded off, everything's tidied up. The next step after that is to fill anything with the filler. Now this is filler that I pick up from B&Q, a couple of pounds, it does the trick, it's really good stuff. I use this for most of the things that I build.
Is there any specific sort of filler? Or?
Well, this stuff is a flexible filler. Now this is great if you're using foam, because if you use a normal filler, if you use foam, because it flexes, it will end up cracking. The flexible filler will move with the foam. You could use, because this is a solid piece, you could use a normal filler. I'm just using the flexible filler because it's what I've got handy. So, and it's easy to sand as well, which is always helpful. Nice. Speaking of sanding, as I said earlier on, foam cores are a really soft material and it produces a lot of dust. Now, whether I'm not really sure if it's hazardous dust or not, but to be on the safe side I'm going to wear a little breather mask. So let's get cracking. we've got the box sanded back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill it. So all the little gaps, the little creases that form when you're sanding, any little edges that you've not glued properly, we're going to fill them, make them nice and smooth, and also any exposed areas of foam, which now should have appeared after sanding back the paper covering. We're going to fill all that, cover it all through, so it makes it nice and safe to use the spray paint on. So I'm just going to get cracking on that. If you like this video, make sure and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Also check out the Facebook page on facebook.com/The Right Side Show for updates and everything else that we're up to. All filled and all sanded down,
yes,
or filed down rather. So what did you do? How did you go about the filler? I was asked you earlier, you said keep it moist, all that sort of thing, but you want to just talk us through exactly what you did to get to where we are just now?
Sure. The filler that I use, it's easy to apply. If you're just putting a bead a little bit along an edge, smooth it with your finger, it's dead easy. But if you want to actually use it, you know, a bit more than you should normally, a little bit of water just keeps it from drying out. And if you've got any areas that you need to smooth it a wee bit more, just a soft bristle brush.
You're just dipping that in water?
Yeah, dipping that in water, brushing it out. You don't need to worry too much about brush strokes, because once you prime it, the primer should fill in any brush strokes you get.
So that'll kind of flatten you out sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Sort of ease it out for you. Yeah, and that's about it really. Okay,
so we've got a couple of tears on the outside of the foam core there. What was that, and why is that there?
They're there because, if you remember right, when we completed the build, I just attached the circuit boards temporarily with a little bit of glue. So that's just where that's lifted from.
Right, okay.
So I'm just going to put a little bit of the filler on these parts. Don't need to make it too neat because the circuit board's still going to cover it anyway.
Okay, so basically you pop them off just because it's going to be easier for filing and all the rest
of
it.
Exactly. I didn't want to damage them.
Yeah,
so.
Sweet. So that's done. They're all rounded off, fillers dry and everything. What's the next then?
Next stage is just another little bit of quick sanding.
What's the next? Did you like my good England there?
What's the next then?
Yep.
Good. You made good mouth. The next step is to just give it another quick light sand. I'm going to use a 120 grit sandpaper. All that's going to be for is you'll sometimes get little lumps and bumps from the filler. It's just to take that edge out. So you don't need to worry about too much roughness, because once the primer's on and then the black and then the clear coat and then the weathering, you're going to lose all any rough edges on it. So.
Nice. Okay. Well, we shall leave you to filing off the filler, and we'll come back in a bit and see where we're at.
All sanded, filled. You probably saw me in that last segment adding a little bit more filler. That was just because as you sand, you'll sometimes lift a little bit, or the paper will lift, but it's fine. Just go back in with the filler, smooth out with your finger. It'll all be good. I have touched up the little indents that were on the side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach the circuit boards, super glue, really quick. Get them back on. I've mounted the arrays on. I went back in. I wasn't happy with the glue that we used to attach the arrays onto the stilts, so I've actually taken them off and I put screws through them. If you are going to have something like that that'll be under a little bit of stress, it's the best thing to do. It took a wee bit more time, would have eaten into the build time in the first video, but it's worth it in the end because you'll have less issues. Mark will testify, it's because I broke it again, but
yes, he did.
the glue wasn't good enough. screws is the best way. You're screwing straight through into plastic, so it'll be nice and solid, which they are now.
And let's face it, when we were practicing driving it, we're a bit crap, and
It broke off.
It kept on hitting walls.
So all I'm going to do is add the plates back on, little circuit boards. I'll start from the bottom this time. I'll get more glue on it because I want this to stay on permanently now. That's it. Now it's off to paint. Here we are about to paint the droid. I've got my good spray paint mask on because these are quite toxic. You don't want to breathe in the fumes. I unfortunately don't have a spray booth or a big workshop. It all gets done outside my window, but I do get a lovely view of the park. So let's get spraying.
We've had some people get in touch with us about builds they want to see us do, and we've taken a couple of suggestions on board. One of them from a very, very good friend of ours.
Yes, he's an 8-foot tall Wookiee.
Big walking carpet.
Big walking carpet. You've probably seen him at all the conventions this year. He's a very good friend of ours, and he's asked us to do something for him.
Keith Armour, who is running the Capital Sci-Fi Con, which is the last weekend in February over in Meadowbank Stadium. Get on that, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be there as well. Has asked us to make a very specific Wookiee weapon which featured in episode
3, yeah, on Battle of Kashyyyk, yeah.
Which we're going to actually make as our very next build. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to build it in 3D, and then we're going to use my 3D model to create templates for Mike to cut out.
Yeah, and then from the templates I'm going to get all the sizes down, I'm going to cut them out, put the gun together and make a perfect weapon for him.
And if you want to see the finished product in real life, get to the Capital Sci-Fi Con last weekend in February.
There we go, guys, so that's the Mouse Droid all primed up. I mean, the main reason for priming it is so that your black spray paint, or any spray paint you use, will adhere properly to the prop. But it's also good because it lets you spot any little rough patches that you may have missed. There's a couple in the back, there were a couple on the sides I've already filled. That's just when you go back in with your filler, just a little dot on it, easy as that, as small as possible, because you don't want to have to smooth it out and sand it again. Just with a wet finger, just smooth it over the rough area. And that fills that in, which means that when you go to add the black paint, it's not going to show up. Easy as that, simple. There we go. Now it's on to do the black.
We've got a lot of paint drying, literally.
Yeah. It's not exactly exciting viewing watching the paint dry, so.
So clear coat's on it, which is going to be the last coat before we start weathering and all the rest of. So how are you going to go about that, and what are you using? How are you going to be doing it?
Okay, so when I make a wash, I usually use acrylic paints mixed in with part warm water and a little bit of PVA. It just helps it adhere better and sticks to it. you don't really need to do that if you're going to clear coat it, but if you're not going to clear coat it because you might want a nice matte finish or whatever.
So you mean weather it and then clear coat again as your kind of varnish?
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did when I made the knife arm. Whereas the knife arm's a light tone, so obviously the silver, I use a dark wash to get into all the recesses and make it look aged. I'm going to do the opposite for the Mouse Droid because obviously that's black. So I'm going to do a lighter wash, which is going to be a light brown, maybe a lightish grey colour. Then I'm going to wash over the Mouse Droid and then wipe off, and it'll fall into all the little recesses, make it look grimy, make it look dirty. As I said in the last video, make it look like it's been kicked from the top to the bottom of the Death Star. So.
Yep, indeedy. I love this. This is such a
you want to see it on?
Such a cool build. Such a cool build.
Yeah.
If you want to see the pictures for this build getting made, it's on the What You See Here Facebook page. So you should go check that out, like it as well. That's Mikey's personal page for all these builds, and you can see step-by-step photography of the Merrill Dixon knife arm getting built.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll do that for the weathering of the Mouse Droid. Same techniques as this.
Except inverted light to dark, dark to light sort of thing. So, cool. Alright,
yeah, so
we'll get on that once the clear gets...
yeah, back soon.
Battle.
Ah, loads of them there. That's alright, 5 kills.
Clear has dried. Time for the fun!
The paint has dried. The clear coat's nice and dry. Many rebels died in that game of Battlefront there. But
yes, they did.
Yeah, yeah. So now it is onto the stage. That's probably my favourite part, and that's making it look used. Now in this little jar, I have mixed a nice amount of warm water with white acrylic, a little dot of brown, a little dot of black to give it this really nice grey colour, and I've also mixed in just a little bit of PVA. It'll just help it stay on the prop once it's in there. So
is it just a case of slap that all over?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, try and think about where you want it to sit. You want the weathering to really sit in the recesses, so wee edges along the front, just little pits, little pockets where normal dirt would gather. You don't want a big blodge of dirt at the front because it wouldn't stay there. It wouldn't make any sense. So try and make it think about where it should make sense. Okay. Areas on the droid itself where it will see the most abuse, probably the front bumper. You know, that's going to be hitting off things all the time. So you can leave little bits here and there, act like little scuffs. But yeah, essentially it is just slopping it on, wiping it off where you want to remove it, and that's it. Good to go.
Cool. Okay, fair enough. Well, I will get out of the way and let you slap that on where you see fit.
Before you start, it's always a good idea to protect the area you're going to be working because this will go everywhere. In fact, I'm a little bit nervous of the fact I'm wearing my good t-shirt, but hey, we'll see how it goes. But let's do it.
There's a certain amount of that you can actually do with the damp cloth.
Yeah,
or
you find.
well,
Yeah, you'll find that once
pillowcase.
you've actually slopped it on, as you wipe it off, you can start then dabbing areas to sort of bring out more weathering, and so it's sort of dotted about, and it's not just one uniform finish. Like you can tell at the front there, I've got more going around the corner edges and less along the bottom. But then as you get into the bottom and the inside, you know, it just breaks up a little bit more. I think it's just a mottling technique. I think that's what it's called, mottling. It's been given its wash over. As you can see, it's taken a lot of the shine off the black and made it look a little bit more used. But there's still wee areas on the build that I want to just highlight a little bit more, and for that I'm just going right into some acrylic paints. Now you can do this with oil paints. Oil paints are good, you'll get a nice finish from it, but they do take a bit of time to dry. So I'm just going to use acrylics just for pure speed. I've created a colour quite close to my mixture. It's maybe a little bit more brown than what the mixture was, but again it's going to be exactly the same. I'm going to add it to areas, dab it off, and it's just to add a little bit more to just little parts of the droid that I think might see a little bit more damage or wear. And here we have it. The Mouse Droid, well, the base body of it anyway, is done. The problem when you're doing a solid colour like this, you know, the solid black, is you don't want to do it too much because then you lose a little bit of what it's about. I sometimes think if you do a wee bit too much to it as well, it can look a wee bit contrived, and I want it to look as natural as possible. So I've made it look dirty, I've made it look dusty, I've added little elements like dripping muck that's went down the side because a chip's burst, and on this side as well something in the array's popped and it's dripped down the side. A little bit of damage around the edges, the high points, and the array is all dusty because that's the part that is exposed to everything and gathers up all the crap that gets flung about the Death Star. This isn't a new droid, this is an old droid. He's been about the block a bit. The First Order most definitely aren't using this guy. This guy went down with his third can you cut that wee bit out? This guy went down with his second Death Star. He's lying on Endor somewhere. Somebody found him. Maybe Ewoks playing with him, that's all I can say. So next step, I'm going to unhook the top part, get it fastened back onto the car, and then we're going to have some fun with it.
Okay, so that's the Mouse Droid. Completed, built, painted, ready to go.
Our first build!
Our first
one,
yes. Done. Done and dusted.
It was so much fun to do.
Here's the bad boy.
Yeah.
So, what was the toughest part of that then? I think I already know the answer. No, that's two different questions. Toughest part to do?
Toughest part was making sure all the angles were correct. It can be so easy to make it look off-centre from each other, but with a little bit of patience, it was easy enough to overcome. So
yeah, just in case of studying pictures, eyeballing, making sure you get to place that you're happy with it. Huh?
This first thing to remember about this build, it was done in a day. Granted, the painting was done in half a day, but the actual build was done in a day, and it wasn't about being movie accurate. It was about creating something fun, having a good time doing it. There was no templates made, there was no plans as such. It was just a case of looking at the pictures and away I went, and this is the finished product, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
Now, as I was saying there, I already know the answer to this. Most annoying part of the build.
The arrays.
The arrays.
These guys at the top. The top parts. Yeah. The actual building of them was fine. My mistake was not prepping enough for the stilts that they sit on. The plastics weren't compatible with the glue.
That just wasn't.
They just didn't adhere. I used super glue. I used 2 part of epoxy. This stuff's supposed to weld metal pipes together. Didn't work.
What was quite amusing, we didn't actually put this in the show, but I might actually put it in outtakes maybe at some point. But was it exquisite noises that Mike was making when he snapped it off for the third time?
We should invest in a beep
fourth
machine.
Time, something like that.
We need a beep machine.
Yeah.
Beep, beep,
I didn't really know what was going on. I just turned around and saw him holding the array in his hand again. so that wins the most annoying part of the build award. What was the most fun bit?
The fun bit, the whole thing actually was just so much fun to make.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the arrays and all the little detail bits are footery and annoying, but yeah, just to have a Mouse Droid, a little piece of my childhood, actually recreated in front of me.
I know, right? That's going to be fun. So that's going to be running about the Capital Sci-Fi Con as well. So you can come and see that. We're going to be showing the footage of it being built at the table that we're going to have there. And you can come and see the actual finished model itself. So one last thing to do. Do you want to go and chase Bobo with it?
Let's do it.
Yes!